Hi there, it's Pam McLean, Food Development Manager from Bidfood again. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to have a look at a really quick and easy soup, just a quick rustic tomato soup using tinned tomatoes and then just some vegetables out of your fridge and also just a few herbs. Just serve it with some really crusty bread and some butter and it'll be beautiful. So this recipe is suitable for 2 to 3 portions. If you need a larger recipe size, then please have a look at our website under our fast flexible flavour and you'll find that there's a recipe for 10 on there. We're going to make a really simple tomato soup now. Couldn't be any easier, trust me. Really simple, 100 gram of potato, 100 gram of carrot, 100 gram of onion, and then 400 grams, which is 1 tin of chopped tomatoes, and 400 millilitres of stock. A little bit of basil, bit of oil, and that's all there is to it. So heat up your pan, make sure it's nice and hot. Add a good drizzle of oil, any vegetable oil will do. And then when that's nice and hot, we just want to add the onions. Okay, they're sizzling away. And we're just going to saute those off just for a couple of minutes, just to soften without any colour. We then add in our carrots. They've all been sliced and diced really quite small. Doesn't matter what shape they are, just so long as they're all about the same size and thickness, so they all cook at the same rate. And then our potato. Just saute those just for a couple of minutes. And at this point you can also add your basil. Now I'm just using dried basil. You could use fresh basil if you wanted to, but if you're using fresh then I'll put that in towards the end. So a good teaspoon of basil so you get that flavour through. Just saute that for a minute or two. Smell that basil. See how the onion's starting to go a little bit transparent now. So when it goes like that, you now know that it's time to put the rest of the ingredients in, which is a tin of tomatoes, chopped tomatoes, and 400 millilitres of vegetable stock. Give that a good stir, bring it up to the boil. And then once it's boiling, we're going to turn that down to simmer and we're going to leave that to cook for about 20 minutes. So we'll come back in a minute when this is done. Okay, so this has now been simmering away for 20 minutes. All the vegetables are nice and soft and tender. And at this point, you can decide whether you wanted to blend it or not. If you want to blend it, put it into a blender in half the amount first and then the other half. If you put the whole thing in, it's just going to be a bit dangerous. I actually quite like this really chunky. I think it looks really rustic. So we're going to leave it like that today. So now you want to check the seasoning. You know you're going to need some pepper in there. So a good sprinkling of black pepper. A small amount of salt just to start off with. Now with tomatoes, they're a very funny ingredient, tomatoes, because sometimes people think tomatoes are sweet, but actually they're quite acidic. So sometimes you need a bit of sugar and you don't always know until you've tasted it. So let's give it a taste. Yeah, it does. It just needs a tiny bit of sugar. When I say a tiny bit, I really mean a tiny bit. And that makes all the difference. It just balances the acidity out. So that's why sometimes tomato pasta salads, sauces can be a little bit acidic. So just check that again. I think it needed a tiny bit more salt as well. And we'll retest. Much better. That's brought out all the flavour of the vegetables, all the flavour of the tomatoes and the basil. So we're now going to take this across to the bowl. Spin it into the bowl. And there you have, with a nice big piece of crusty bread. delicious.